allowing a divine help, structure to get into the process of leadership, to get into the process or every facet of the Nigerian economy, as well as the lives of individuals, so that our lives be better. And that's what we hope for. And little wonder, the mantra of the president has been the mantra that resides or resonates, renewed hope. So renewed hope is what the president has put as his mantra, and so far we've seen some of the goodwill from the renewed hope, even though there are talks from different parts of the country and public affairs analysts and those who observe public matters, saying that it might have good intentions, but the processes might just be very wrong. But then others are also saying that there's no better time than now for the president to jump, into some of these reforms that he has, decided to jump into. But then there is a matter on ground that we would be talking about today, and that matter concerns or borders around the issue that's been going on with the abduction, with the kidnappings here and there. And indeed, it's not allowing Nigerians to smile, because it is almost disheartening and unacceptable, the fact that we have a country that has a constitution. We have a country that has people in political offices who are, most of them have been elected to these offices to represent us, while a few others have been appointed, right, as based on their integrity, based on their personality. But then we have not been able to feel some sort of safety, right? Just like I had a conversation with you before, during the pages. I said, I don't know about you, but if you were born in the 80s, in the early 80s, or the early, the late 70s, early 80s, and late 80s, then you would know that the only insecurity that we had, for some of us who lived in Lagos, would be what the Yorubas called bomo, right? Child, stealers. That was the only insecurity that I can remember, apart from the usual, thieves coming into your home and all of that, robbery. Apart from that, the only insecurity we had then was the bomo. But right now, it really beats my imagination how we have, gone down the road, to this point where we are now talking about school children, which in times past, the government and even international bodies were begging, parents at the time to send their children to school, saying education is key and education is knowledge, education is light, which is indeed the truth. But now that we have come to a place of awareness, a place of enlightenment, and parents are now seeing the dividends of education, the need for education, and the fact that education indeed rewires, the mindset of a person and allows for the person to see things in a very, very grown up and mature and sensible way, right? It's so sad that we would have our same children, go to schools and not find safety, where our hearts would be beating, because of a space of insecurity. So we'll be looking at something that borders around securing our schools, the fight against kidnappings. I know that this has been a conversation that has been on the front burner for quite some time, but we would not stop talking about it. We would continue talking about it, mounting the pressure where necessary and as necessary, so that we would see the change that we've always talked about. So it's not going to be a pipe dream. It will become indeed a reality. So just recently, the vice president, in the person of Vice President Kashim Shettima, that's on Saturday, had said that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is personally pained. And why is he pained? He's pained over the abduction of over 287 school children at Kuriga, Chukun local government area of Kaduna State. Yeah, and the president also, to show his how displeased he is, the president has instructed the security chiefs and agencies to leave no stone unturned until the children are returned to their parents. And then it just goes on to, telling us that, hey, as much as the president, the body language of the president is very clear, that look, all of these should stop. In fact, in one of those headlines, stop all the abductions now. Stop it now, the president's saying. So he's given his assertive authority in that regard. But does it just stop at just having the children returned or reunited with their parents? Shouldn't it be about forestalling another attack and ensuring that there is enough military personnel on site armed with this responsibility of protecting lives and property, right? Because as it stands right now, this is becoming a rhetoric, and it's a rhetoric passed from one administration to another, and Nigerians are saying true leadership isn't about popularity, but about making tough decisions for the greater good. Now, action is required. However, when the climate is motionless, what is expected? Stagnation becomes embraced. Terrorists and bandits appear to be daring the government and security forces these days with an audacious and outrageous group of abductions of women, girls and school children in Borno, in Bauchi State, in Kaduna State in the last 7 days. Now, without mincing words, right, the criminal adventures, by the outlaws effectively deflated claims by top government, officials that insecurity had reduced drastically, and that some 95% of the terrorist element in the ranks of Boko Haram had been either killed or even put in disarray through diverse military and non-kinetic, strategies, as we've seen with the military coming out there to saying all of these things. And yes, as much as we are happy to hear these, but it seems as though at the point where happiness is beginning to build and some levels of restoration of trust is growing in the minds of Nigerians, we suddenly see or hear the sad news. And the thing about these sad news of kidnappings and banditry is the fact that it's the successive recurrence of these events or incidents. Now, the military had earlier this month advanced on terrorists. However, before they could even celebrate that triumph, Boko Haram had abducted 200 women and girls from IDP centers, right? And that was in Gala, local government area of Borno State. Bandits in broad daylight on Thursday as well, March the 7th, 2024, had abducted 285 students and pupils from the local government education authority, that's the LGEA primary school Kuriga, that is in Chukun local government area of Kaduna State. Now, this primary school, you should know, it's a double for a secondary school where government had earlier on relocated students from schools prone, to bandit attack and insurgency. Yeah. Now, the third other publicized case of abduction that we should mention is in the Tara village, in Ningi local government, area in Bauchi State, where no fewer than 6 persons no fewer than 6 persons, were victims, and the latest is in Sokoto State, where bandits had kidnapped, an unspecified number of Sagaya students at Gidang Bakuso in Gada local government area of Sokoto State, and that was early in the morning. Now, this has occurred barely 2 days after bandits, abducted 285 students and a principal from the LEA primary school and, in Kuriga Chikun local government area of Kaduna State. Now, it is also very noteworthy to point out the fact that, the Sokoto incident actually happened hours before the graduation ceremony of the state's Community Guard Corps created to fight banditry. So it's more like the bandits are making a statement and telling, the governors and security agencies and even the government that, look, every day we get emboldened. And even though you set up, corps here and there, you have the defense corps, whatever corps you have, the police, the military, none of them have the guts to combat us or to have a face-off with us, because the more you create these corps, the more we enlarge. But then, according to retired Colonel Ahmed Usman, who's a special advisor on security to Ahmed Aliyu, who's the governor of Sokoto State, a fighter jet has been mobilized to that area, and in fact, according to him, it says, we are also mobilizing ground troops to the area where we'll rescue all the abductees safely. Now, it just tells you the effrontery and boldness of these elements. They are operating almost unrestrictedly, even in a society that has a constitution, a rule of law, even a military and a police system in various names. Yeah. Now, it is also no news that the enormosity of this insecurity is inherited. That's right. But the question on the lips of many Nigerians would be, should it become, an ancestral ownership passed down from one generation to the other, where one administration will come up and say, well, I just inherited this. This was not something that I, started with me, right? So I'm only going to try to do my best. So don't blame me a lot, right, for the inadequacies, because I'm doing my best, right, to ensure that things get better. So should it be something that we should be proud as politicians, to telling the Nigerians that, oh, this came from another generation, another administration, and it was passed down to me? But even if it was passed down to you, does it also mean that nobody should take responsibility in that regard for the insecurity? And the international community are also out there watching us. And every day we keep saying that the Nigerian green card is not valid, is not respected, and all of that. So who's to take responsibility? Should it be the international community? Should it be the president? Should it even be the presidency? Or are we supposed to look at, politicians? Or better still, should we even look at ourselves, the citizenry? Because every society gets the type of leadership it deserves. So these people that I've made mention of, as exempting the international community, they all came from our society. Talking about the politicians, the president, the presidency, whatever name they may be, as long as they're Nigerians, they all came from us, from the same one society. So could it be time for us, or is this time for us to begin to ask the pertinent questions of, how are we getting it wrongly, first of all, in the society? I mean, look around you. Are we really getting it rightly in terms of morals? Aren't we seeing every day, an increase in moral decadence? Right? Now, many have cited moral decadence and greed as the root, causes of insecurity in Nigeria. Now, do you also believe that probably that might be the case? Maybe, just maybe, if we started to get it rightly, from the societal unit, maybe we would be able to raise a generation or a people, whose hearts, is not tilted towards corruption, nepotism, extortion, looting, siphoning, forgery, as in the case of the case that's still going on with the former CBN governor, where there's been citations here and there proving that the signatures of the SGF at the time and the signatures of the president were all forged on documents to get monies, huge sums of monies. Right? So let's make an argument for the military. Maybe, just maybe, we live in a country that is almost too large in terms of space for us, in terms of population, in terms of landmass. So it begs the question, could this be why we're not able to win the fight against insecurity? Is it about landmass? Is it about population? Is it the fact that the military have been yearning and longing for funds? Could it be because they've not been properly funded? And the monies that have been, also apportioned to the military to get, to fortify themselves and get, state-of-the-art equipment right there to combat insecurity and corruption and insecurity, basically, where are these monies? Who is taking responsibility for them? What is the process of ensuring transparency? What is the process of ensuring accountability? What about the gadgets? Right? Are they available? Right? And then these are just the many questions, but I just also want to know, your thoughts on this. I mean, it's almost appalling. It's appalling already. It's disheartening. It is sad what is going on, in this regard. I mean, in the spate of 7 days, we have had all of these abductions here and there, kidnappings, and in one of such, we heard, is it the principal? We read, where the principal or a parent had said, or somebody had said that their brother was killed trying to save his brother. Like someone was killed trying to save his brother from the kidnappers, and he was shot dead. And then there was another instance of, we saw them. We saw our children being hurled into the bushes, and there was nothing we could do. I'd like to know what you think about this. Let's have that conversation. What measures do you think, what do you think can be done exactly at this point in time? I mean, it's becoming sporadic and it's already a menace, but then its ugly head is rearing, even ever, growing and having, different heads. From the one stalk is having different heads, a myriad of heads. Could it be that we are almost, the military is overwhelmed with what's going on? Is it that the police forces and other, police and agencies right there are somewhat overwhelmed with what's going on in the country? Or do we just not have a clue as to what to do to fix in the nation? 0907-353-0044 is that number to call. The other number for you to call to have your take on this is 0908-766-8888. And the WhatsApp portal number, where you could as well send a WhatsApp portal message to, drop a voice note if you don't mind, is 0909-705 4450. But like I would always say too, I understand that tensions may be really high, emotions getting deeply right there, but please, let's just be very cautious with what we have to say. Let's be civil and responsible. Hello to you.
Yeah,
hello, good morning to you.
Good morning.
That's right. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Pius. I'm calling from Central area.
All right, Pius, welcome aboard. Let's have your thought in this one.
Nigeria and insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
I want to quote one of past head of state, I think military head of state, who said any insecurity that lasts the country, you just know that a government agency has a hand in it.
Right.
Now,
oh, that's a mess. All right, though, Pius, it feels good to, hear from you. You could do well to call back. I believe that is a network issue. But then the numbers are still out there for you to have your thoughts on the matter. I recall Elder Onajer, calling on to the show, always says about, having, a special unit, who will be responsible for manning the bushes, right? And could this just be what Nigeria needs at this time? But then numbers to call is 0907 353 0044. The other number is 0908 766 8888. And the WhatsApp portal number once again is 0909 705 4450. Now, many are of the opinion that the piecemeal approach of the government, past and present, is in tackling insecurity is almost too feeble to deal with the enormosity, the gravity of the problem that we face at hand. There must be some levels of grand offensive against terrorists. In fact, if we have to make a statement, we have to make a loud statement. And these terrorists who have seized our forest, these terrorists who have rendered hundreds of communities ungovernable, should be given the offensive, as many believe. And there are also some thoughts about what is the role of governors, in this matter? Don't they have a role, in bringing about a strategy, in, ensuring that these situation of, insecurity that plague their respective states are nipped in the bud, right? And there is also the place of the strategy of cajoling and persuading terrorists and bandits. It seems as though that strategy is failing already. Negotiations here and there, amnesty, compensation, unsolicited repentance, rehabilitation, and even financial grants have not even doused the havoc that is brought, upon Nigeria by terrorists, and bandits. So some are also beginning to see it from the place of, shouldn't we begin to look, to other strategies to ensuring that we are able to completely minimize or annihilate, these insecurity challenges that we face in the country. Got a call. Hello.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, good morning to you. Welcome aboard. What's your name? Where you're calling from?
So, thank you. My name is Olumide. So,
right. Olumide.
The two question I want to give is that, generally speaking, all the issues we have in Nigeria, they are all political.
Right.
Extremely political. Now, solution. Let us start appealing to all our elites. The traditional elite, the religious elite, the economic elite, the political elite, with all emphasis, the political elite, and the social elite. If they should come together and agree on a political solution for Nigeria, whether we will continue in federation or we should start a confederation system of administration.
Okay.
You see, the system we are practicing now says on the surface says we are practicing federalism. Well, in the real sense of it, we are not doing federalism because we haven't agreed to be a nation. We have not agreed together. So maybe our elites should come together now and agree that, okay, let's just start practicing confederation. Then from there, the rebirth or the birth of federalism will come forth. I hope I'm not speaking too much grammar. Even Professor Mogali said we have to speak the grammar to have Nigeria out of this.
Right.
You see, if we can agree to become a nation, a people, a one people. I don't think you want to raise up hands against the state. It's just that we have not agreed to be. See, let me tell you that you are there by your name, Yanacho. If me and my name, they started talking everything negative about Igbo, you will repent.
Right.
And same to me, if you start talking things about Yoruba, it's because we are seeing ourselves more as our tribal identity. We have not yet agreed fully to be Nigerians. We should start from there. Then see, if we have agreed fully to be Nigerian, I'm telling you, anything that happened in the southeast or in the northeast will be a very big concern to anybody who is in the northwest and the south. You understand?
Okay.
You can see the division in the labor unions negotiation with the government based on salary structure. The southwest say their minimum is this. The north, you see that you can see the disparity in the union. So we need to agree on a system of administration. Thank you. And please, let's keep holding our elite in all spheres of our society to come together. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Olumide, right there. Olumide has made it so clear. But to also add to that, right, as much as we call the elite and all of that, you made a strong point, and he mentioned the place of, seeing ourselves as a nation. Is one thing to saying that we are living, together. It's another thing to seeing ourselves as brothers and sisters. But then to also bring the place of the question of, was there never a time that we saw ourselves as brothers and sisters? Some would say that there was a time like that when did we all fall off the cliff on that one? But then as a result of all of these going on, there has been some initiative where it has been put together by the federal government, and it is called the Safe Schools Initiative, where it's more like a shield aiming to protect our schools and the people within them. Now, it involves some various strategies like strengthening school infrastructure, training security personnel, as well as raising some levels of awareness in communities. Now, it's more like you imagining a fortress around schools with walls, fences to keep intruders out, and the vigilant guards or the security personnel just watching. Now, this initiative includes special measures for schools in areas where attacks are more likely to happen, and there has been some states that have been also, fingered to be, in the lines of being a threat to some of these banditry and abductions in school premises. But then the government is also looking at having an engagement with the United States of America. That means that the government's beginning to look, internationally to seeing how they could bring to an end or form some levels of partnership that would have a very positive effect on the security situation in the country. You and I know that if we are going to indeed woo investors in the country, there is a need for us to ensure that security, which is very paramount, is indeed secure in the country. Let's take this one. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you, please. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, God bless you, sir.
Thank you. God bless you too.
Thank you. All the way from National State.
All right, welcome aboard. Talk to us.
Yes, Mr. Duak, you see, there are so many issues here. And when you were playing the devil's advocate, talking about the size of the country and the population, I was just trying to compare that of India and China in terms of landmark and in terms of population. We are less than these people, and they are able to manage their security and their people, and they are able to manage their economy far better than us. I think for me, these are some of the issues I will mention like two. One, so much power is being concentrated at the federal level. State governors can practically not do anything in terms of security. If there is anything happening, and the governors have been saying, if they call the IG of police or they call any of the chief of many of the head of services, they will tell them that they are not receiving instruction from the president. And if they should call commissioner of police in the state, the commissioner of police will tell them they are not receiving instruction from the IG of police. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think so much power is being concentrated, at the federal level. And it's a very big issue. This power has to be decentralized. Where state governors, irrespective of whether they will use those powers, against their opponents or not, let them have some level of power to deal with some of those issues. And secondly, we have a lot of these people who are making trouble, a lot of kidnappers that we see. A lot of people that we see them come and to Nigerians, they are not Nigerians, they are coming from either Nigeria or Chad. They are coming from other countries. Our borders are so porous, so open that these people come in freely and they perpetrate any kind of evil and they go back. They can't do it without the collaboration of some Nigerians. And lastly, I want to say one thing, that those behind this kidnapping and killing of Nigerians, they are powerful people. Just the same way that those who are stealing our oil. A poor person cannot steal oil. It's all rich people that can steal oil. So those people, if you see the kind of arms that they are carrying, even in some cases when you see the army get some of them arrested, you discover that they are looking very hungry. They are not. They don't look like somebody that is collecting a ransom of 100 million, which means that money is going to somebody else. They are just dancing the music somebody is playing. So you discover that some of these people that you see them coming to kidnap Nigerians, they are being sponsored by powerful people, by very rich people. But one thing I also want to look at is that some experts have continued to say the process of emergency so that the rules of engagement can be removed and the army can be able to deal with these people, because under Buhari regime, for example, a lot of terrorists that were in jail were being told that they are repented and you will just go and release them and train them. And then we are asking, what happened to the people that their mothers, their parents, their mothers and their children, that made them homeless, they are in IDP camp? You just woke up one day. How do you know that these people, they have repented? The people that have so far to arrest, you now free them and they are working freely. But for those that they have lost their homes, they have lost their lost ones, the children, they are orphans and they are just there. So there are a lot of issues. So power has to be decentralized so that the governors can have some level of power to deal with some of those issues. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Power needs to find decentralization if indeed we must tackle, the insecurity head on. And you mentioned something that is very, very poignant to the conversation. And that would be the place of the fact that we have borders. In fact, for some persons, some Nigerians believe that we don't even have borders, right? That what we have is just a walk in the park. You just come in there. If you can sort yourself out, you sort yourself out, and you're in the country already. And there are also, talks about the fact that these persons who are perpetrating these crimes may not just be Nigerians, but then would have some decentralization way forward. But then the federal government has also put together what they call the Safe School Initiative, and this initiative is looking at proper funding where with a $10 million contribution and then $10 million pledge from the private sector. So the federal government has budgeted 15 billion naira for the SSI, that is the Safe School Initiative, that was within the 2023 fiscal year. But then looking at how it is going, the project has taken off and it has commenced implementation since 2023. And we are looking at 2024 as it stands. And in view of a 2024, the Safe School Initiative coordinator had come out saying that state governors had expressed plans to provide funding for the SSI for the protection of pupils and teachers in the identified locations. And she had also gone on to saying that some states have made provision for the Safe School program in their 2024 budget, and that it would be in line with the national plan. Now their intention is to engage the states to guide them throughout all of these implementation. Let's hear from you. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, hello, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, it's Pius calling back.
All right, Pius, welcome back. Thank you for calling back. Go ahead.
Okay. I I want to support what the last caller said.
Right.
And that was what I actually wanted to say from the start.
Okay.
This federalism system is not really working for us in this country. Now, let me give an example. I had to study the security architecture in the US, where you see state police. At least we should have something like the army can be handled by the federal government, right? Then each state is supposed to have his own state police.
Hello? Oh, come on, Pius. You're out again. You were mentioning something about the state police right there as a solution to some of the issues that we are facing right there. But what can the what can be done to securing our schools? So some of the thoughts in this regard might just be about strengthening security forces, right? Where the governments can invest, in equipping and training and given adequate funding of security agencies to enhance their various capacities so that they can indeed face insecurity head on, face to face, and combat it to a standstill. Have you also thought about the place of intelligence gathering and sharing? I mean, we say this many times, but do we see this indeed happening? Do we see it a robust establishment of intelligence networks that promotes collaboration among security agencies in order or with a view to gathering actionable intelligence on criminal activities, right? Do we see that? Earlier, during the pages, we had a caller also calling in to saying that, look, at some point to combat the insecurity situation in the country, especially starting with Abuja, we had a project that allowed for CCTV cameras to be, mounted at several points in the town, in the city of Abuja. And here we are crying about this. Shouldn't we leverage on technology to seeing that, look, finally we can just begin to breathe some fresh air and allow technology to take its course, and that way be able to fish out these perpetrators of these crimes. But then somebody would ask very quickly and say, even when technology begins to succeed, what about the place of the justice system, the judiciary? Do we have a judiciary that has the will to indeed bring to prosecution these high-profile, personality who may have one or two connections, to the current state of insecurity in the country? Do they have the ability, even though the Constitution empowers them, do they have the physical empowerment as backed by the Constitution to ensure that these big names, right, are indeed brought to book? Is another angle to look at it. And then there is also the place of, should we begin to want to consider the capital punishment for this? Would it deter anybody who wants to engage in such an act? Because as it stands right now, many lives are being taken in this regard, and properties are being destroyed here and there. And it seems as though the society in itself is weeping and ailing, right? As much as we would give it to the security personnel right there doing what they do, but then we need to see these things come as actionable plans and strategy that can be, we can say we are seeing it, is feasible, is achievable, is doable, is working, in the society. And we are seeing these people who have affiliations, one way or the other, though powerful they may be, brought down and brought to book. It is only then, and not only then, will the Nigerian society begin to say, probably, maybe, just maybe, we're beginning to win this fight against insecurity. But there is also the place of community engagement and some levels of empowerment, whereby there should be some implementation for community policing initiatives to foster, trust and collaboration between the enforcement agencies and even the local communities towards identifying and addressing security threats. But let's hear from you. Okay, that's a miss though. Keep the calls coming through. 0907 353 0044. and the other number is 0908-766-8888. And the WhatsApp portal number is 0909-705-4450. Remember to follow us across social media platforms, as we are live on Facebook and YouTube as I so speak. So you can get on there on Facebook at Eagles FM Abuja, as well as YouTube at Eagles FM Abuja. Not also taken away from the fact that we have a strong presence on X, that is Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, as well. Let's just hear from you right now. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Yes, good morning. Welcome, thank you. Fine. How are you?
Hello,
can you hear me?
Yes, I just want to bring my contributions more.
Sorry?
My name is
Abdul Qadir, okay. Where are you calling from?
Yes.
Where are you calling from? Where are you calling from? All right. Go ahead.
Actually, this country started since from 1990. The schools in Nigeria started since from 1990, when British government and American government wanted to destabilize Nigeria. They tried to destabilize it by using our own leaders. First of all, through a brand of Nigeria in that street towards Abacha. Abacha also did not agree. And then they sent the attitude to Obasanjo, and Obasanjo agreed. So since then, it's been continued to make Nigeria angry. And this thing happened because those leaders, both in America, because they said that Nigeria is trying to become big, and Nigeria is not following the United Nations rules and regulations. So they want to destabilize it. And the
Abdul, mislead the public in this regard. Because all right. Well, anyways, what do you think? What do you think should be the action plan in terms of how to handle, the situation now?
And they put Obasanjo and they put
Abdul Qadir, can you hear me? Hello? Okay, Abdul Qadir, it seems that we're not having, an understanding of ourselves at the moment, right? I would have loved for you, to tell us, very passionately as you started, what you think, would have been done. I mean, our children are being abducted almost on a daily basis, right? We hear this news here and there, and then it seems as though families and homes are beginning to be scared, especially in times like this. Yeah, in as much as we have, security agencies doing their best, but then we cannot also tells us the fact that, hey, there is a danger, there's a menace out there, and sending children to school now is becoming, an issue, as many schools are beginning to shut down, especially within the regions had taken place before. It's just a way of us looking at how, as to the security chiefs, right, even the head of service and all of these persons, right, we can put it out there and speak to them about it, and of course hopefully they'd be able to listen. But we cannot go any